Okay, so you are not going to believe this story.
Yeah, this one is wild.
We're diving into the whole Alex Jones Infowars situation.
Buckle up.
Yeah. Um, so just to kind of set the stage,
Yeah.
Alex Jones, uh, yeah, right-wing conspiracy theorist, known for spreading misinformation.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, and things really kind of came to a head with that Sandy Hook defamation case.
Oh, yeah, that was huge.
So he spent years pushing this completely false narrative that the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting was a hoax.
And that caused so much pain for those families.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he was ordered to pay nearly $1.5 billion in damages.
Yeah, to try and settle that debt, his assets were put up for sale in a bankruptcy auction.
So they're selling off his studio equipment, even like his online supplement store.
You name it, it's on the block.
And this is where it gets really strange. Are you ready for this?
Hit me.
The buyer is The Onion,
Wait, what?
the satirical news outlet.
No way you're kidding.
I'm serious.
The Onion bought Infowars.
That's right.
That is too perfect.
I know.
It's almost too ironic to believe.
Right.
This bastion of fake news, like fake news that makes you think.
Yeah.
Buying up this platform that's known for spreading these harmful conspiracy theories.
So let's unpack this auction a little bit because I think that's a good place to start.
Sure.
So the goal was to sell off Jones's assets and try to chip away this massive $1.5 billion debt. But here's the thing that really got me.
Okay.
The families of the Sandy Hook victims actually waived some of their potential proceeds
Really?
to make the Onion's bid more competitive.
Wow. So they were more interested in shutting down Infowars than, maximizing their profit.
It seems that way.
I mean, you can see how deeply personal this is for them.
Of course.
It's not about the money at this point.
Right.
It's about stopping the spread of these lies that caused them so much pain.
There's actually a really powerful quote from Robbie Parker, whose daughter Emily was killed at Sandy Hook.
Oh, yeah, I read that.
He said, and I quote, "The dissolution of Alex Jones's assets and the death of Infowars is the justice we have long awaited and fought for."
Wow.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, it really underscores just how significant this is for those families.
But of course, this is not the end of the story.
Oh, no, this is just the beginning.
There are some legal hurdles.
Oh, yeah, plenty of those.
This sale still needs approval
Yeah.
from a bankruptcy judge, and obviously there are already legal challenges.
Yeah, some people are even saying that the auction itself was rigged in the Onion's favor.
Rigged? How so?
Well, there are claims that the other bidders weren't allowed to use credit to the same extent that the Onion was.
Interesting.
And they're alleging that the Sandy Hook families waiving their proceeds somehow gave the Onion this unfair advantage.
So it's getting pretty messy.
Oh, yeah, and Jones's lawyer is pushing back hard.
What's his argument?
He's basically saying that you can't assume the assets would be moved illegally just because of who the buyer is.
Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out.
It is. A judge has already ordered a hearing to address all these concerns.
So in the meantime, what is Alex Jones doing?
Oh, he's not going down without a fight.
I bet.
He was furious about being forced out of his studio even before the sale was finalized.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we're talking going out like Vikings-level drama here.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. But he didn't just sit back and sulk.
Oh, I bet not.
He set up a backup studio right away.
Of course he did.
And he's vowing to appeal the sale. He's even claiming that all these attacks are actually helping him.
Helping him? How so?
Oh, he says his audience is growing because of it.
Oh, wow.
Like all this negative attention is somehow making him more popular.
And what about those supplements?
Oh, yeah. He's still selling those.
Really?
Yep, on a completely separate website.
So it sounds like he's trying to shield that revenue from the Sandy Hook families.
You gotta, he's a smart businessman, I'll give him that.
This guy does not give up easily.
He does not. But even if the Onion does take over Infowars, the Sandy Hook families can still pursue Jones's future earnings.
I was just going to ask about that.
The judge was very clear in his ruling. He called Jones's behavior intentional and malicious. And bankruptcy can't wipe that slate clean.
Wow. So we've got this incredibly strange sale hanging in the balance, the legal battles brewing, and Alex Jones just scrambling to hold on to what's left of his empire.
It's a crazy story.
But it's about so much more than just one man and his website.
Yeah, you're right. It really raises questions about misinformation and how we combat it in this digital age.
Yeah, we'll dive into all of that right after.
You know, it's funny, when you think about everything we just talked about,
Yeah.
it raises this really interesting question.
Okay, what's that?
Can you actually fight misinformation with humor?
Whoa, That is an interesting
I
question.
mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Alex Jones built his entire platform on fear and anger,
Oh, yeah.
these dark conspiracy theories.
Right, right.
And then you have The Onion,
Yeah.
which is all about satire.
Making light of everything. Yeah. That's a weird mix.
It is. It really makes you think about whether satire can be an effective tool to combat something as serious as misinformation.
And, The Onion's CEO, Ben Collins, actually said they want to replace Infowars disinformation with humor.
Huh. But is that really going to work?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
I mean, on the one hand, satire has this long history of challenging power structures and making people think critically.
Right.
But then again, can it really change deeply held beliefs?
Especially in a world that's as polarized as ours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a question that a lot of people are struggling with.
I gotta say, though, the thought of people going to Infowars for a laugh
Mhm.
instead of, the latest doomsday prophecy is kind of appealing.
I know, right? It's like this bizarre thought experiment.
Totally.
But what about Jones's hardcore followers?
Oh, yeah, the people who actually believe everything he says.
Do you really think satire is going to change their minds?
Probably not.
I mean, that's a much tougher challenge to reach those people. You really have to understand why they're drawn to conspiracy theories in the first place.
Well, and haven't we kind of seen this before?
What do you mean?
Like a controversial figure loses their platform and then they just fade away.
I see what you're saying.
So is this any different?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that make this situation unique.
Like what?
First of all, you have The Onion involved,
Okay.
and they bring this whole element of absurdity to the table.
Yeah.
They're not just shutting down Infowars, they're trying to transform it into something completely different.
So instead of silencing him,
Yeah.
they're using his own platform against him.
Exactly. And then the second unique factor is the involvement of the Sandy Hook families.
Right.
They're not just sitting on the sidelines.
No, they're playing an active role.
They waived some of their potential profits, remember?
Yeah, to help the Onion.
Right. And they've been very clear about their desire to see Infowars shut down.
It gives this whole thing a whole different dimension.
Yeah. Absolutely. It becomes about more than just a business transaction.
It's about accountability and justice.
Right. And it makes it harder for Jones to play the victim card.
Oh, for sure. He can't claim he's being silenced when the people who are actually harmed by his actions are the ones driving this.
So the content on Infowars isn't the only issue anymore.
Right. It's about who controls the platform.
And what message they're sending.
Now, that is fascinating.
It is, and it leads to a whole bunch of new questions.
Like what?
Will The Onion actually be able to rebrand Infowars?
Yeah. Can they make it their own?
And will they attract a new audience, people who are drawn to their humor and satire?
Or will Jones's followers just stick around?
And maybe even be influenced by this change in direction.
It's like a social experiment in real time.
Exactly, and we get to watch it all unfold.
We can't forget about the legal battles, though.
Oh yeah, those are still raging.
Challenges to the auction appeals of those billion-dollar judgments. It seems like this whole thing is far from over.
It does, and with so much going on, what do you think is the most likely outcome here?
That is a tough question.
Well, it's hard to predict anything, for sure.
Yeah.
The legal landscape is so complex.
And there are so many factors at play, but I
I
think
think it's important to remember that even if the sale gets that final approval, it's not like everything is settled.
Oh, yeah, true. There's so much else going on.
Right, we can't forget about all the legal challenges that are still in play.
Yeah, let's break those down a bit.
Okay, so first you've got those allegations that the auction was rigged.
Yeah, what's the latest on that?
Well, the other bidder who lost out is really trying to make their case.
What are they saying exactly?
They're claiming that the process wasn't fair. They're saying they weren't allowed to use credit to the same extent that The Onion was.
So they think they were at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and they're pointing to the Sandy Hook families waiving their proceeds as evidence of that.
So they're saying that somehow gave The Onion an unfair advantage.
Right, and they're asking the judge to basically overturn the whole sale.
Wow, could that actually happen?
It's definitely a possibility the judge has to take those claims seriously.
That would be wild if Infowars ended up back in Alex Jones's hands after all this.
It would be a huge twist, but even if the sale does go through, there's still the issue of those massive defamation judgments.
Oh, right, the nearly $1.5 billion he owes to the Sandy Hook families.
Yeah, those debts don't just disappear because he filed for bankruptcy.
So he's still on the hook for that money.
Absolutely, and the families can go after his future earnings no matter who owns Infowars.
That's a lot of pressure.
Oh, for sure. And it's not going to be easy for him to rebuild his life with those judgments hanging over his head.
So even if he's broadcasting from some bunker and The Onion's running the show, he's still got this huge financial burden.
Exactly. The judge was very clear in his ruling. He called Jones's actions intentional and malicious.
And that kind of liability is tough to escape.
Yeah, bankruptcy can't protect you from that.
It really makes you wonder what's going through his head right now.
It's got to be a lot to process.
Okay, so let's play this out. What happens if the sale goes through and he loses those appeals? What does that actually mean for him?
It means a significant chunk of any money he makes in the future is going to go towards paying off those judgments.
So basically his financial freedom is gone.
Pretty much it could affect everything, his ability to travel, invest, even just maintain a certain lifestyle.
Those debts will follow him everywhere.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in.
This whole Infowars saga is just wild. It's like a real-life cautionary tale.
It is. It shows just how destructive misinformation can be, and the ripple effects can last for years.
And it's not just about Alex Jones. It's about the people whose lives he's impacted, the Sandy Hook families, everyone who's been exposed to his lies.
It's a reminder that words have power, and they can have real-world consequences.
On a more positive note, though, it's kind of interesting to see how this is all playing out.
How so?
Well, you've got The Onion, this satirical news organization, potentially stepping in to dismantle a misinformation empire.
Yeah, it's not something you see every day.
And it raises all these questions about how we combat misinformation in this digital age.
Right. Can humor be an effective tool? Is this just a temporary solution?
So many unknowns.
It's a fascinating case study, and we're all kind of watching this experiment unfold in real time.
Yeah, and who knows what the ultimate outcome will be, but one thing's for sure.
What's that?
This is a story we'll be talking about for a long time to come.
Definitely, it's a reminder that truth matters and that we all have a role to play in fighting misinformation.
So what do you think, listener? Will The Onion succeed? Will they change the course of Infowars? Will Alex Jones ever truly be held accountable?
Only time will tell, but this deep dive, it's given us a lot to think about.
And hopefully it's inspired you to think critically about the information you encounter online.
Because in this age of misinformation, it's more important than ever to be discerning and to question everything.
Thanks for joining us for this wild ride into the world of Infowars.
And remember, stay curious, stay skeptical, and always keep digging for the truth.